Welcome back, everybody. It's Andrew Roberts and Linda Wright with another one of our viewers' questions. Now, thank you to all those viewers who are giving us some amazing feedback. We've got Yogesh, we've got Bill Stars, we've got many other YouTube handles. We're getting almost too many to thank you all individually, but thank you for the brilliant feedback. Linda, thank you for impressing everybody.
Now, aren't people kind?
They are indeed. Well,
it's actually very nice to know that I'm not sitting here talking to myself, other than you, of course.
well, of course, and I don't count. Well, as usual, reach out to Linda Wright on her social media, Linda Wright of Planet Wright, fantastic planning consultant. And for those of you in HMOs, we've got a brilliant viewer question from Pin145. I'm not sure if that's a 145mm long pin or somebody who's a member of the Property Investors Network community. But it's an Article 4 question about HMOs. And they want some advice here. They bought a building December 2020, last year, so a year ago, and I got a little bit confused by this question, so I'll read it out as it comes. They've let it via an agency in January 2021. They then began conversion in February 2021. So I'm a little bit confused how that can be let and being converted without causing a nuisance to the tenant.
Of course, it was let to a builder. Could have been, couldn't it? Could have been let to a builder, and I don't know.
Yeah, and he's done it. The local authority doesn't actually say which local authority it is, Linda, so we can't really look this one up.
We've not been able to check.
Yeah. Announced an Article 4 in March of that year. The conversion works finished in May. So that's good news. He's got his conversion completed before the Article 4 is implemented, because usually these things have got a long lead time for implementation. But he said that the Article 4 started in mid-June, so that's quite a sort of short period. And he's got ASTs and he's got tenants in, and they moved in and signed the ASTs in July 2021. The interesting question is, does he get grandfather rights for this as a HMO, Linda?
I don't know where you get grandfather rights from, but there we go. Right, so there's a number of...
I think you have to be a little bit older to be a grandfather.
Yeah. There's a number of things that are confusing me about this, and before we can... grandfather rights, I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that. Now, the fact is, if a council, another council, announces an Article 4 direction limiting the conversion of a Class C3 house to an HMO for under 6 tenants, if they announce that and that the permitted development rights to do that are then removed, then normally, under normal circumstances, if it's announced in May and the order is sent out in May, it normally takes 12 months. Normally, it doesn't have to, but normally there are some special HMOs that are immediate. They come into being immediately. So there have been Trafford issued one, and it was an immediate one. So you've got to be careful with some of these. Some do come in immediately. So if it came in, it was announced in March, but then he's saying it came into force in June. That's a very short time period. Maybe it is one of these special measures, types of Article 4 directions that has to have been introduced very, very quickly within a period of 3 months. I don't know. I'd like to see the details of it, to be honest. Now, going backwards, he said he bought it in December. and rented it via a letting agent in January. And then conversion work started in February. And as we were saying, who lets a house and then starts doing the conversion work? Unless, of course, you've let it, I don't know, to a gang of Polish builders. I just don't know how this is working.
I was confused.
Doesn't it the chronology of it is not making sense to me. So it's been, and what has it been let out as in January? Was it let out as a C3, a single dwelling house, or have all of the bedrooms been let out and they're just going in and doing en suites or something? So they're doing, one room at a time kind of thing.
It just says it was let out in January, which implies a single let rather than a multi-let. Because how do you do a conversion when people live in the building?
Oh, it's very odd. Well, I mean, some people do. Some people don't mind. So I'm not sure about that. Then it was, the building work started in February. Then it was completed in May, which
completed in May. The Article 4 started in June, and they tenanted it in July.
Well, if in order to have what you are calling grandfather rights, I don't use that term.
So what term do you use, Linda?
Well, whether or not you have complied with the permitted development right, if you have converted the building, if it needed converting, and you have implemented that permitted development right, i.e. you are now using it, it's tenanted, you've got all your ASTs, and it is being used as a however many people HMO. If you haven't done that before, and if you've only got the ASTs and people tenants in July, then you are outside of the time frame if the Article 4 direction came into force in June. So you've missed the time frame. Now, there is an argument that you might say, well, do you know what? Keep your head down. And I'm not advocating this, and this is not my advice, but some people will say, keep your head down. The council won't know, provided nobody objects, nobody complains. You won't get an enforcement officer coming knocking on your door. Just carry on and doing it. But I know, and the reason for this question is they're wanting to refinance.
Well, they're wanting to refinance, but you say the council won't know. Most areas you have to have your HMO license in place. So again, you're going to get punctured.
Yeah. So without an HMO license, now, having said that, without an HMO license from the council, the fact of the matter is that the HMO licensing section, either in the housing department or in the environmental health department, whichever council does, they don't necessarily tell the planning department. These departments don't speak to each other. So you're not necessarily going to get yourself into trouble with that part of it. But if you do put tenants in there and any of the neighbours start to complain to the planning department or the environmental health department because you've got noisy tenants, you get
messy ones dumping the rubbish, because I've seen several and they just dump.
And you get some tenants sitting on the wall, kicking their heels and drinking cans of lager and causing social disturbance, social nuisance. So from that point of view, if any objection goes into the council, then they will be duty bound to investigate. You need an HMO license as well. There's no getting away from that. So you need to do that. So if that department that issues the licenses tells, as a matter of course, I mean, if I were running a planning department and an HMO licensing, as a matter of course, all of them would go to the planning department and they would all be checked. But we all know planning departments have no resources and they just can't, they haven't got time to do this. So if you had, for example, paid cash for this property, you'd taken your money out your pension or whatever people do these days, and you'd paid cash for this property and you were quite happy to now just get the rental in, and you were skipping off and you were going to go and buy another property. People who do property development very rarely do that. What they do is they might buy it with cash. They might even buy it with investors' money and then say, oh, don't worry about it, we're going to refinance, and then they get the money and they pay the investors back. But if you go to lenders now and they say to you, because I'm sorry about this, but I train lenders. So if you go to lenders now and they say, where's your planning permission? And they'll say, oh, we didn't need it. It was permitted development. No. These lenders will check. They'll say, there's an Article 4 direction removing permitted development rights. Where's your planning permission? So you will then not get your refinancing. So what you're then in a position of doing is either you could risk it and you could apply for a certificate of lawfulness, but you will have to provide significant amount of evidence to say when you started using this property for an HMO. If it really was a 3-month run-in for the Article 4 direction, which is I've never heard of before, if I'm honest, and it came into being in June, and you can only provide ASTs for July for the 6 tenants or however many it is, you will not get your certificate of lawfulness. So backtracking again, you will have to apply with a full planning application and run the risk of the council saying, no, we've got enough HMOs in this area, and this is why we introduced the Article 4 direction. We are not granting any more HMOs. So that it was going to be a 2-sentence answer this, but that in a very long-winded way is you could have a few problems. If you can let us know what the council is, I can check the Article 4 direction and see exactly what's going on with it.
Well, Linda, thank you again for that comprehensive answer. I mean, along the way, I've even learnt a few things there. I mean, if you've learnt something, drop a comment below and let us know. If you've got a question, drop a comment below and let us know. And we have some interesting videos coming up on some planning permissions that Linda's been doing for me, where we'll share the detail of that with you in the near future. So in order to hear about that, make sure you hit that subscribe and hit the bell icon, and give Linda some thumbs up as well. Tell her that you're enjoying her videos. Drop some feedback for us. If you're looking for a fantastic planning consultant, Linda Wright is her name. Planet Wright is the planning agency. Reach out to Linda on social media. She's brilliant. Love working with her every time.
Thank you, Andrew. I'll give you the tenner later.
You said it was a 50.
No. Didn't you know I'm mean?
Oh. Linda's mean and I'm picky. So on that note, it's goodbye from me, Andrew Roberts.
And it's goodbye from me, Linda Wright. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, everybody.